So Yuichiro Hanma is the father of Yujiro Hanma, and the grandfather of Jack Hanma and Baki Hanma. Yuichiro is the complete opposite of his son Yujiro. This implies that he is possibly much kinder than him, and Yuichiro seems to be quite a carefree and calm person. This may be considered one of the reasons why Yujiro is being so harsh on Baki, since Baki's carefree personality reminds Yujiro of his own father. So Yuichiro was a very large, muscular man with exceptionally large, broad shoulders, and was noted by many not to be considered human. He has dark-colored hair that he ties in a simple ponytail. Like many men in the Hanma bloodline, he has the demon on his back muscles. And Yuichiro also has cauliflower ears due to his grappling battles. So when it comes to his origin, not much is known about it. We don't know how he trained, how he became so strong, and when did he activated his demon back for the first time. But what we know is that Yuichiro is so strong that he was the only man before Yujiro to take on the full military might of the United States with only his bare hands and win. Major General James, the man in charge of the operation against Yuichiro, requested the use of a nuclear bomb just to kill one man. His reason is that they were unable to control Yuichiro's rampage on a small island near Okinawa, when Yuichiro annihilated a platoon of soldiers unscathed. Furthermore, the island he was on received heavy naval and aerial bombardment. But even after all that, he emerged completely unharmed. Yuichiro then proceeded to kill Major General James on board the battleship. He threw him with such immense power, his corpse pierced through the wood of the ship. When Yuichiro finally appeared before the more than 2,000 soldiers who gathered around their commander's corpse, they all scampered away from him with great fear and jumped from the ship towards the ocean, realizing that the person who stood before them was the man behind the death of all their fellow soldiers and their commander of the ship. So, the true depths of Yuichiro's strength are still currently unknown, but those who've come across him suggest he is inhumanly strong. As such, shown in the Battle of Okinawa, he is the only other man in the world besides his son to single-handedly defeat the USA during World War II. It is unknown if Yuichiro is stronger than Yujiro, but it is stated that he was the only man Yujiro never defeated. However, there is currently no evidence of them having fought at all in the past. This is most likely due to Yuichiro's death, which occurred when Yujiro was quite young. This is exemplified by Yujiro's shocked and fearful expression when Yuichiro's spirit appeared to support Baki. Unlike his son and grandson, Yuichiro is only known to use one technique, and he used it to defeat thousands of US soldiers on the battleship. Many of the soldiers call his technique dress, but Yujiro corrects it by stating the real technique was really called guise. The user uses his opponent as a human weapon like a nunchaku, surrounding himself in a spiritual image that looks like a dress. The power behind his throws is powerful enough that he is able to kill just about anyone he hits instantly. Its power is so immense that when Major General James was thrown to the wood of the Iowa battleship, a wood durable enough to withstand direct attacks from big weapons, his corpse pierced through it. Furthermore, he can perform his variation of the technique so blindly fast that entire squadrons of soldiers can't turn their guns fast enough to defend themselves against this truly gruesome move. So another most frequently discussed topic among fans is that if Yuichiro Hanma can defeat Yujiro Hanma or not. So I strongly believe that Yuichiro Hanma is much stronger than his son Yujiro Hanma. I know it has been said several times that Yujiro is the strongest character in the series, and can defeat entire armies with his bare hands, and stop earthquakes with his fists. But still, few characters manage to went toe-to-toe against him, and hold their own against him, even pushing him to use the demon back. I think his father is the only person who is really stronger than him. And we also have speculation that Yuichiro is the only man Yujiro Hanma cannot defeat. So this is my opinion, you are free to disagree with me. Yujiro possesses very powerful abilities such as the demon back, which allows him to increase his physical stats. Baki inherited it from Yujiro, and Yujiro surely inherited it from Yuichiro. Yujiro is also able to learn and master almost instantly every technique and fighting style he doesn't know just by looking, and there is no doubt that Yuichiro can do the same too. When Yuichiro in spirit form appeared during the battle between Baki and Yujiro, when Yujiro saw his father, he was visibly worried, almost terrified by his presence. Whenever I see those expressions of Yujiro when he saw his father, it makes me think that Yujiro and Yuichiro actually fought, and Yujiro lost against his father. And those expressions recall Yujiro when he fought against his father and lost badly. The most amusing thing is that Yuichiro made fun of Yujiro, saying he was fighting a child, referring to Baki. He literally laughed at Yujiro, implying that Yuichiro would have defeated Baki more easily and quickly than Yujiro did. Yujiro was speechless. Usually, Yujiro gets angry when someone tries to make fun of him, yet when his father mocked him, Yujiro seemed almost afraid. He had nothing to say. Yujiro stood there like an idiot, petrified from fear when his father appeared during the fight between him and Baki. Some Baki fans say that Yujiro killed Yuichiro, and I strongly disagree with them, because judging by Yujiro's expressions when he saw his father, it does not seem that he actually killed him. Otherwise, why he is visibly terrified of the presence of his father? So I think Yuichiro is stronger than Yujiro. His expressions may not help to understand, but regardless of the first reason, that Yuichiro is much older than Yujiro, both the Hanma get stronger as they get older. Both can live for more than 100 years, because both they have slow aging, and Yuichiro was much older than his son, and I am sure that Yuichiro before his death was much more powerful than his son. However, I do believe that Yujiro in his prime might effortlessly defeat Yuichiro. But if we are talking about a fight between them, when Yujiro and Yuichiro are in their prime, then I'm going to side with Yuichiro. In a fight between these two, I vote in favor of Yuichiro. Yuichiro will treat Yujiro just like Yujiro treats his son Baki. Yuichiro should have as immense knowledge of martial arts as his son. Yuichiro in his prime probably had the same capabilities as his son. The only difference is that Yuichiro is stronger than Yujiro in all ways. For me, Yuichiro stomped Yujiro. It was also stated that Yuichiro is the only man that Yujiro Hanma cannot defeat, and this statement is amplified when we saw Yujiro scared about the presence of his father when he appeared during the final battle between Yujiro and Baki. His carefree attitude was also highlighted when wasn't afraid to lose prize fights for money. After intentionally losing a match, Yuichiro met a disappointed Doppo Orochi, who confronted him about throwing his match against the pro wrestler Rikiguzan. It was unknown to Orochi that Yuichiro threw the match to earn money, but Orochi knew fully well that Yuichiro is capable of blocking all incoming attacks, and he guessed that Yuichiro took the attacks because he could, and because the opponent's attacks were not even worthy of blocking. However, Orochi implied that Yuichiro trampled the pride of Japanese martial arts by throwing his match against the pro wrestler. Yuichiro was pleased by the fact that someone like Orochi knows his real strength and grabbed Orochi by his clothes. Orochi responded by nimbly getting out of the clothes Yuichiro was grabbing and kicking him to the jaw, possibly breaking it. He then declared that he will set things straight with Rikiguzan, which would then also clear Yuichiro's loss from the last match. Another interesting thing about him is that Yuichiro is seemingly the first possessor of the demon face, since he is the father of Yujiro and the earliest link known to have it, and since we do not know of Yuichiro's nor the rest of the Hanma clan's ancestry, Yuichiro is never known to use the demon back, and because his personality and character are similar to Baki, it is fair to assume that he never used it or did so only on extreme occasions. The demon face is not so much a technique as it is a predetermined advantage such as height or muscle building capacity, since it is a gift dependent on genetics and bloodline. However, it can be treated as a technique, since it is only activated when the user decides to use it. When Yuichiro was fighting against the American army, the demon on his back is slightly visible, so it can be assumed that he was using the power of his demon back in that battle. In my opinion, another similarity between him and Baki might be the demonic brain of Baki. So basically, Baki's frontal lobe is in the shape of a terrifying face of a demon, and his demonic brain is something that he probably inherited from his grandfather, since they both have a lot of similarities in their personalities as well. So the last thing we need to talk about is Yuichiro's death. We get to know that Yuichiro died before Baki was born, but there is no evidence of his death or any news on how he eventually died. In my opinion, Yuichiro actually died of old age. No final battle, no staring into the sunset with blood pouring from wounds inflicted by a deadly enemy. Just a chill and gentle big guy who, after living a full life, being the strongest being on the planet before his son arrived, loving his wife and his son. Yeah, I'm pretty certain Yuichiro loved Yujiro a lot in his own way, even though their ideals are mostly opposite, kinda like with Yujiro and Baki, and defeating a bunch of heavily armed American soldiers using their fellow Americans as nunchucks. Wakes up one day and says, "Guess this is how long I was supposed to live in this world," and dies peacefully and with no regrets in life. Not only would this be a fitting end for a character like Yuichiro, but it would be the final push for Yujiro to go from the still jerkish and arrogant yet honorable and kinda noble guy we see in Ali's flashbacks, to the monstrosity that set itself loose in Vietnam and the world in general. Death just stole from him a final fight with his old man, who was the only being in the world able to stand even ground with the ogre. So what are your thoughts on Yuichiro Hanma? Make sure to tell me in the comments section, and thanks for watching.